Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. JustusRStone here with my thoughts on volume number 3 of the light novel series, The Rising of the Shield Hero. Now in this volume, it begins with Naofumi and his company finding this lost girl out in the wilderness and returning her home. That sets off a chain of events that sort of carries through the whole novel, including the third wave of destruction arriving, and including a brand new way that Naofumi finds himself betrayed, suspected, and made an enemy of the people of the kingdom. Where volumes 1 and 2 seemed very dedicated to showing us sort of this world and dedicating themselves to how Naofumi is going to survive and how he sort of just seems to end up having to clean up after the other three heroes that have gone before him. This book really starts to dive a lot deeper into the reasons that things are happening in this world. So one of the big things, of course, that's been on my mind since the very beginning is why has Naofumi gotten such a raw deal right from the start? Initially, I thought this was maybe just because the other three heroes having weapons sort of were immediately considered, better because shield, right? But we find out in this book that it's a lot deeper than that. And there's a lot more of a matter of like politics and religion and a whole bunch of other things that are all happening that have led us to this point and that have caused Naofumi to become vilified. We still don't know exactly why, but there is some hints that it's because of the history of this world and that there have been other heroes that have come to this world before, and that perhaps a lot of the crap that Naofumi's had to go through isn't even just a matter of him or his fault, it's actually because of the actions of the heroes who came before. This goes a long way to giving a better sense of motivation for our villains. The king, Mine, even the other heroes that she has manipulated. We start to understand why they're doing the things that they're doing. We start to understand that there's probably some much more deep and political motivations for the things that they're doing. And that there's probably even a level of power play going on that helps to deepen and make their sort of actions, I'd say, more satisfying, at least to me as a reader, because now I kind of get why they're being evil D-bags. And it's not just that they're nasty for the sake of being someone who's nasty. There's a reason to it. Also, there's events that happen during this third wave of destruction that make that whole thing a lot more interesting. It's not just some random freak event like, a tornado setting off or what have you. There's sort of this deeper thing that it hints at, that there's a purpose to this, an intelligence behind it, which I found very interesting and immediately sort of caught me up in this idea of, wow, like what really is going on? Like this book, for all the answers that it provides, it leaves you with even more questions about, okay, so now we know on this level why things are the way they are, but how did it get here? And you get a little bit of hints and stuff like that, but you certainly don't get the whole picture. It goes a long way to develop this story as being more than just like a, let's follow our hero as he does the RPG thing of just leveling up and learning new skills and everything else. It takes it beyond that now to starting to create a much more cohesive and engaging story in a world that has a history. I'd also say that this book helps to flesh out Philo a lot more. I would say in volumes number 1 and 2, it was definitely about Naofumi and Raphtalia to a certain degree, but this one we get Philo. She's featured quite prevalently in this, particularly in her relationship to a brand new character who ends up playing some very vital roles throughout the entirety of the book, and will probably play many roles in books to come. Naofumi himself, I don't know whether there was as much growth of his character in this one as there was in previous books. Certainly, we're starting to see a lot more of that side of him where he is trying to be good, where he's allowing himself to try and trust, and that sometimes even he's now using his sort of reputation of being this bit of a scoundrel to test people. And in the end, he proves he's not really being a scoundrel, but he does it because he realizes that there's so many people that are being motivated by these base desires in this world that if he doesn't test people and he doesn't manipulate them to a certain point, he himself is going to get screwed over, which has been proven time and time again. In terms of pacing, I read this in a single day. I just plowed through this book. It's because I think that there are a lot of different events. If I sat here and listed out all the things that happen in this book, there's a lot. It is, in a lot of ways, it takes and borrows from that RPG model of go somewhere, get a side quest, go somewhere, get a side quest, go somewhere, get a side quest, build, build, build on the bigger story, even though you're doing the side quests, big reveals, you know what I mean? Like, there's always something happening. There's always something that's driving the book forward. There's always new revelations that are coming out that really, in this one, it's not just the characters that I'm reading the book for, as much as they are entertaining. It's also, in this particular volume, I thought it was the story and the reveals and this building of a much broader plot that just, I could not stop reading it, and I plowed through this book. There are very few light novels I read in a single day, but this was one of them. So those are my thoughts on volume number 3 of The Rising of the Shield Hero. Really good book. Probably one of the strongest of the 3 volumes so far in terms of building and constructing a far larger plot and a far more interesting plot. Gives us a lot of good backstory and a lot of better motivations for our villains to do the things that they do, and makes Naofumi, because of it, makes Naofumi, I would say, an even more sort of relatable and sympathetic character, because we realize just how much of this stuff is completely out of his hands and beyond his control. Log Horizon, volume number 4. This is Game's End Part 2. So that's going to be the next light novel that I review. I hope you join me for it. If you're new to the channel, click on subscribe either up in the top corner there or in the description down below. You can check out my previous light novel videos, my manga reviews, or the books that I write, all by the links up across the top. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Until then, bye-bye for now.